Cops swarm a black war hero over breakfast. How fast could your dignity be erased? Stick with this story and you'll witness the one phone call that demolished careers, ignited nationwide reform, and learn the exact tactics to protect your rights when power targets you. It's 8:07 a.m. on a dull Tuesday in Mon, Georgia, the kind of morning when the sky feels like wet cement and the traffic lights blink like they're half asleep. On Vineville Avenue, wedged between a pawn shop and a dry cleaner, sits Henry's Diner. No neon, no slogans, just steamed-up windows and a door that sticks when it rains. The coffee is forgettable, but the company keeps regulars coming back. Raymond Cole is already in his spot-last booth by the window, back against the wall. Same place every week. His olive army jacket is threadbare at the cuffs, but spotless. A short-cropped beard frames a face that's weathered yet steady. He carries the scent of cheap black coffee and hand-rolled tobacco paper too thick, tobacco too little. Raymond doesn't waste words. When he does speak, it's with a slow drawl and ironclad respect. "Morning, Mr. Cole," Jenna Miles calls out as she breezes past. Jenna's early 30s, works the floor like she's directing traffic, and still finds time to ask about every customer's kids. "You got peach cobbler today?" Raymond asks. She laughs. "Not till lunch, and you know it. Usual?" A nod is all she needs. Scrambled eggs, grits, 2 bacon strips, toast lightly browned, and coffee, black. Behind the counter, Frank Delaney tilts his glasses and watches Raymond quietly. "That man could run this place better than me with one hand," he mutters to Jenna. "He's why I don't quit some mornings," she whispers back. To most walk-ins, Raymond looks like someone halfway to nowhere. No car, no steady address, boots that survived another era. Inside these 4 grease-stained walls, though, he's family. Raymond sips in silence, eyes flicking to the TV over the counter. A news crawl about veterans missing disability checks scrolls by. He exhales through his nose, then stares out at the sleepy avenue. Traffic thickens. Mercer students, parents on the school run, commuters headed toward Robins Air Force Base. No one notices the black and white cruiser that rolls to the curb. No siren, no hurry, just 2 officers stepping out like it's any old stop. Officer Brent Maddox, tall and broad-shouldered like a lineman decades past his prime, pushes through the door first. Officer Don Keller follows, a stocky man with a clipboard tucked under one arm. The bell above the door clangs. Jenna spots them, forces a bright grin. "Morning, officers. Your usual table?" They don't answer. Maddox's gaze has locked on Raymond. "Sir," he begins, walking straight to the booth. "You eating here?" Raymond takes one measured breath. "Yes, I am." "You order anything?" Keller asks. "Breakfast on the way. Coffee's right here." Maddox glances at the cup, then back. "Got a receipt?" Jenna steps in. "He's fine, officers. Paid cash already." Maddox doesn't look at her. "Did I ask you?" Jenna's jaw tightens. Frank shakes his head from the grill. "Don't push it." "I paid," Raymond repeats evenly. "Ask her." "You carrying ID?" Keller presses. Raymond reaches inside his jacket, slow and deliberate, producing a worn leather wallet. Out slides a Veterans Affairs card. Maddox barely glances at it before scoffing. "That all you got?" "It's all I need," Raymond answers. Keller chuckles like the punchline landed flat. "We'll see." The diner's hum dies. Forks hover midair. Something heavy hangs over the Formica tables. Keller edges closer. "How long you been sitting here?" Raymond studies the clock. "About half an hour." Maddox tilts his head. "How long you planning to stay?" "Long enough to finish breakfast same as everyone else." Jenna sets the plate down, hands steady but hurried. Maddox raises an eyebrow. "He already ordered?" "He's here every Tuesday," Jenna says, voice firm. "Pays, eats, leaves, a regular." Keller sniffs. "You homeless?" Raymond doesn't blink. "No house to my name, but this town's still home." Maddox smirks. Real smart mouth. Raymond lifts his fork, hoping they'll wander off. They don't. "People like to loiter, take advantage of decent folks," Maddox announces to the room. No one answers. A couple stare at their plates. A delivery driver fidgets by the door. Raymond chews a bite of egg, swallows. I served 2 tours in Iraq. Worked security till my knees quit. I pay for what I use. So why treat me like I broke a window? Maddox's laugh holds no warmth. Just doing our job. Jenna leans in again. He paid. That should be your job. Keller flips open a notepad. Name? Raymond nods at the VA card. Right there. I asked out loud. Raymond Cole. Date of birth? February 10th, 1968. Maddox jerks his chin toward Keller. Run it. Keller heads for the cruiser. Frank wipes his hands, steps forward. Officers, maybe we chat outside? Maddox waves him off. We're fine, sir. No. Frank's voice hardens. You're not. That man's never caused a lick of trouble. Maddox keeps watching Raymond. We got a complaint. From who? Frank asks. Maddox doesn't answer. Raymond pushes his empty plate forward, wipes his hands. He reaches inside his jacket once more, pulling out a scratched flip phone. Maddox's shoulders tense. What's that for? He demands. Raymond flips it open, thumb on speed dial. Frank leans in. Raymond, one raised finger. The call connects. Raymond speaks, calm as lake water. It's happening again. Silence crashes over the diner like a dropped tray. Every eye locks on him. Maddox stiffens as if a siren just wailed. Who'd you call? He spits. Raymond snaps the phone shut, sets it beside the plate, and leans back. You said you were doing your job, he replies quietly. Now I'm doing mine. Maddox steps closer, hand drifting to his cuffs. Sir, you're coming outside. Frank moves from behind the counter. Not unless you're arresting him. The door swings open so hard, the bell barely clinks. A man in a crisp navy suit strides in, mid-40s, no badge on display but command in every step. He flashes a leather ID wallet. Assistant Director Daniel Voss, Department of Justice. Officers, badges, and numbers now. Maddox freezes, hand half raised. Keller hovers behind him, tablet glowing. Sir, we were responding to... There was no complaint, Voss cuts in, tone even but sharp. Your body cams are rolling. Your protocol violations are recorded. This gentleman is a veteran, not a suspect. Maddox's face reddens. With respect, you're not our supervisor. No, Voss says, gaze unblinking. I'm your investigation. Raymond exhales, shoulders easing as he sinks back into the booth. Around him, the diner remains hushed watching, waiting, wondering what comes next. The tension in Henry's diner is thick as cement. Officer Brent Maddox doesn't move right away. His fingers twitch near the edge of his duty belt, but his eyes betray uncertainty. Officer Don Keller stands a step behind him, looking everywhere but at Assistant Director Daniel Voss, who's holding firm, like this is far from his first time walking into a mess and putting a badge in its place. Outside, Voss says again, quieter this time, but somehow heavier. The 2 officers finally back away. No apology, no eye contact. They step out into the damp Georgia air, and the door swings shut behind them with a hollow thud. Inside, everything stays still. Jenna Miles clutches her order pad, shoulders rigid. Frank Delaney folds his arms across his chest like a wall. Raymond Cole just leans back in the booth, quiet as ever. Voss stays standing, his voice dropping as he looks down at Raymond. You all right? Raymond nods once. Didn't want to call you. I know, Voss says, voice softer. But you were right too. Jenna steps forward, eyes flicking between them. Wait, who is he? Raymond looks up at her, the edge of a tired smile forming. Old friend. Frank raises an eyebrow. You got friends who walk in with a DOJ badge and stop a takedown mid-sentence? Raymond's smile doesn't grow, but his tone shifts. Depends on the takedown. Voss turns to Frank and Jenna. Apologies for the disruption. We won't be long. I just need a moment with Mr. Cole. Frank nods, still eyeing them carefully. Say what you need, coffee's on the house. Raymond shakes his head. Put it on me, I always pay. Jenna gives him a soft smile. Of course you do. Voss slides into the booth across from Raymond, his posture relaxing a little now that the immediate fire is out. His tone shifts again, more like an old war buddy than a federal agent. You sure you're okay? Raymond lifts a shoulder. Had worse mornings. Voss's eyes narrow. This the third time this year. Yeah. You want me to push it higher? Raymond doesn't answer right away. He folds his napkin neatly, lays it beside the empty plate, and stares down at it. Do what you gotta do, he finally says. I'm tired of explaining myself to people who've already made up their minds. You shouldn't have to, Voss replies. Not after what you gave. Raymond's expression hardens just a little. They only care about what I gave when I was still in uniform, not when I'm just trying to finish a meal. Voss nods, then pulls out his phone. The body cam footage will be flagged for review today. You'll get a call from Internal Affairs, probably 2 interviews, then we notify the press. Raymond doesn't flinch. Let 'em see it. Maybe next time they'll think twice. Out on the sidewalk, Keller paces by the squad car, arms crossed tight. Maddox is on the phone, face pale and stormy all at once. Inside, Jenna is quietly refilling cups again, but her eyes keep drifting to Raymond. She's seen him every week for years, never seen this side. None of them have, because Raymond Cole doesn't advertise his past, doesn't flash credentials, doesn't demand respect. He just carries it in silence, in stillness, in presence. Voss reaches into his coat and places a business card on the table, face down. You call that number if anyone else tries anything. Doesn't matter who. Raymond nods slowly. Appreciate it. Voss pauses. The people that matter do, too. Then he stands, nods at Frank and Jenna, and walks out without another word. As the door swings shut behind him, the room doesn't spring back to life. It stays quiet for a few long beats. Finally, Jenna walks over and tops off Raymond's coffee. You sure you want to stick around? She asks. Half the city's probably whispering by now. Raymond shrugs. Didn't do anything wrong. Frank grunts from behind the counter. Don't matter. People don't care about truth. They care about a show. Raymond takes a sip. Then they'd better bring their own cup. I'm not pouring it. Jenna chuckles, but it's short-lived. The bell jingles again. This time it's not a cop, not a regular. It's a teenage girl in a hoodie and sneakers, holding a phone like it's glued to her hand. You him? She asks, walking straight to Raymond's booth. He glances up. Excuse me? You're the guy from the video, right? The vet at the diner? He frowns. How do you... It's all over TikTok, she says, holding up the screen. Somebody posted the body cam, tagged the diner. My brother saw it and sent it to me. You're blowing up. Raymond leans back, his jaw tight. That was fast. Fast? She lets out a breathy laugh. You're trending. Like majorly. People are pissed. Those cops? Twitter's dragging them. Frank walks over, arms crossed. Who posted the footage? No idea, she says. But it's got 400,000 views already. Jenna puts a hand on her hip. What does it show? The girl turns her screen. Here. The video rolls. Body cam footage from Officer Keller, shaky but clear. Maddox's voice echoes through the tiny speaker, asking for ID. Jenna trying to step in. The moment Raymond picks up the phone. Then Voss walking in like something out of a movie. Raymond looks away. People are calling you a hero, she says. Silent warrior stuff. There's a hashtag, #Raymond Cole. I'm not a hero, Raymond says. You're not invisible anymore, she replies. Then she's gone. Just like that. Jenna pulls out her phone, scrolls quickly. She's not wrong. You're everywhere. Articles, threads, even Savannah News is looking to interview you. Raymond sighs. That's not what I wanted. You sure? Frank asks. Maybe it's what we needed. People finally seeing what's going on. Raymond doesn't answer. His eyes drift down to his VA card, still sitting near the edge of the table. That little rectangle never got him a job. Never got him a place to sleep. Never even got him a thank you. But now it's trending. And that feels complicated. Because when the internet shows up, it doesn't knock. It barges in. And somewhere out there, something big is starting to move. By noon, Raymond Cole's name isn't just floating around on social media, it's crawling across the bottom of national news tickers. Local station WRBL runs a headline calling it a clear example of unchecked authority. CNN clips the footage into a 60-second breakdown before lunch. Twitter stitches the scene into memes, commentary, and outrage reels. By dinner, every YouTuber with a mic and an opinion has weighed in, and hashtag Raymond Cole is trending top 5. People want to know, who is this quiet man in an old army jacket? Why did two cops zero in on him without cause? And who was that man in the Navy suit who shut it all down with just a name? They dig. And what they find makes the story blow wide open. It starts with a photo-grainy black and white found on an old veterans forum. 3 men in combat gear caked in dust, crouched behind a Humvee somewhere in Fallujah. One of them is unmistakably Raymond, younger but with the same eyes. Beneath the photo, a simple caption. Operative R. Cole, Task Force Wolfhound, 2006. That's when the internet starts to realize, this man isn't just a veteran, he's something more. Task Force Wolfhound isn't a name people recognize, so they dig deeper. Turns out it was a classified Joint Ops Unit Special Recon, hostage recovery, off-the-books missions. Most of their files are sealed, but veterans talk. Quietly, respectfully. And when one of them leaks a partially redacted commendation letter dated 2007, addressed directly to Staff Sergeant Raymond Cole, Bronze Star recipient, with mentions of heroic action under extreme threat, the narrative shifts. This isn't just a guy who served. This is someone who saved lives, again and again. No interviews, no book deals, no plaques, just silence. Until now. Back in the diner, Raymond doesn't know any of this is happening. He doesn't have a Twitter account. He doesn't check trending tags. He's sitting in his regular booth, flipping through the Mon Chronicle, which, as of this morning, hasn't printed a single line about him. His phone buzzes. It's Voss. You might want to prepare yourself, he says. For what? Raymond asks. The phones haven't stopped ringing. Congress, newsrooms, a couple senators' offices. There's even a nonprofit that wants to buy you a house. Raymond blinks. Buy me a what now? A house, full payment, no strings. They say it's a gesture of gratitude. He lets out a breath that almost turns into a laugh, but not from joy. It's disbelief. All I did was sit down and eat breakfast. No, Voss replies. You stood up without standing up. Outside the diner, Officer Keller is nowhere to be seen. Maddox is slumped in the cruiser, staring out the window like he's watching his whole career fall apart in slow motion. Inside, Jenna Miles walks over to Raymond's table carrying a small cardboard box. Someone from the VA center dropped this off for you. Inside, a clean button-down shirt, a new pair of boots, a prepaid flip phone, and a folded note that reads, "Thank you, Sergeant Cole." Raymond stares at the items for a long beat. He doesn't need a shirt, or boots, or phones. He needs peace, and maybe that's the price of making people look at something they've ignored too long. Frank, Raymond says quietly, still staring into the box. You ever feel like people don't see you till it's too late? From the register, Frank Delaney doesn't even look up. Only every damn day. What Raymond doesn't realize is that the clip, the moment he calmly flipped open his phone and said, "It's happening again," has become a rally cry, a TikTok trend, a t-shirt design, a Twitter bio. People are using it to call out everything from police overreach to veteran neglect to housing inequality. And for the first time in a long time, the country's watching. By Thursday morning, the Mon Police Department issues a statement. We are conducting a full internal review of the incident involving Mr. Raymond Cole. But the internet doesn't want a review. They want action. And they already have names. Within hours, Don Keller deletes his Facebook and locks down his Instagram. Brent Maddox tries to go private, but not before someone screenshots several years' worth of offensive posts. Some of it's bad, real bad. The kind of bad that makes you question how he ever got past the background check. Protesters gather outside the department. Not thousands, not even hundreds, but a quiet line. No shouting, just presence. Signs that read, "I am Raymond Cole." Being poor isn't a crime. Respect is earned, not demanded. Meanwhile, journalists keep pulling at loose threads. Turns out, this isn't Maddox's first complaint, not his second, not even his fifth. Multiple reports filed, all buried, letters sent, ignored. One complaint from a former schoolteacher reads, He kept asking where I lived. I told him and he said, "That explains a lot." I filed a report, never heard back. But Raymond's one phone call shook the whole tree. At Henry's diner, everything's changed. Jenna's been interviewed twice. Frank's face is on the homepage of the Chronicle. People show up just to sit in Raymond's booth. One man asks if he can take a selfie with the chair. Raymond just shakes his head. "I'm not an attraction. You're a mirror," Jenna says, "and people don't always like what they see." But Raymond still doesn't feel like a hero. Heroes get to rest. Heroes get safe. He's still at the same shelter, still using his jacket as a pillow, still waking up before dawn to stretch the pain out of his knees. And yet something has shifted. That evening, a gray government van pulls up outside the shelter. Two men in suits step out and ask for Raymond. They hand him an envelope. Inside, a letter from the Secretary of Veterans Affairs. It's handwritten. It apologizes. It offers an expedited housing voucher, a full-time counselor, a caseworker, weekly therapy sessions. Raymond holds the letter like it's made of glass. "I didn't ask for this," he says. The younger man answers softly, "No, sir, but you earned it that morning." That night, Raymond doesn't sleep. He lays on his cot, staring at the ceiling, thinking of all the men he served with who never got letters, who never went viral, who were just forgotten. By Friday, the dominoes are falling fast. Keller resigns quietly. Maddox refuses, says he's being targeted unfairly. But with public heat rising and his disciplinary file under full audit, even the police union starts backing away. His badge is hanging by a thread. And all Raymond did was sit down and eat. By Friday afternoon, the story has spun into a storm no one can control. The Mon Police Department schedules a press conference, hoping to calm things down. The mayor shows up. So does the chief of police. They step behind the podium, give their statements, stumble through words like unfortunate, under review, and departmental learning opportunity. But no one's listening. Not really. Because the press already knows what it wants, and more importantly, so does the public. No amount of rehearsed regret will clean up what the internet already saw live. Meanwhile, Raymond Cole is watching it all unfold from a quiet bench outside the shelter. The fall air is crisp. A news van idles across the street, camera crew hanging back, hoping for a reaction. Raymond doesn't look at them, doesn't acknowledge them. He just sits, shoulders relaxed, staring off into some distance they can't see. He lights a cigarette, something he rarely does, but today feels like the kind of day that warrants it. An older woman walks by. She slows, stops, and looks directly at him. "Thank you," she says simply. Raymond doesn't ask what for. He just nods. Because maybe, finally, people are starting to understand something he's known for years. Respect isn't a reward. It's not something handed out to people like him as an act of charity. It's something owed. And if it took one morning, one booth, and one call to teach that lesson, then so be it. Still, Raymond knows there's more to be said, and it won't come from a press release. It has to come from him. That following Sunday, Henry's Diner is back to its usual rhythm. No cameras, no reporters, just the regulars. Locals trading church gossip and weather predictions, same as always. Raymond walks in wearing that same faded army jacket. But this time, his posture is different. Not defensive, not proud, just steady, present, like a man who knows where he belongs, even if the world around him still hasn't made up its mind. Frank Delaney nods toward the usual booth. It's open. Raymond doesn't sit. He clears his throat, quietly at first. "Mr. Cole?" Jenna Miles says, setting down a tray nearby. "I got something to say," Raymond replies, scanning the room. The diner slows. Forks pause midair. Heads turn. Conversations stop mid-sentence. "I'm not a hero," Raymond starts. "I didn't plan to be a story. I came in here for eggs and coffee, same as I have every Tuesday for years." He looks toward Frank, then to Jenna. "You two saw me, not as a problem, not as a project, as a person." He turns back to the room. Eyes meet his. Some look away. Some hold his gaze. But some folks didn't. And maybe that video made people pay attention. That's good. But attention's not the same as understanding. A few heads nod slowly. One man quietly sets down his fork. Raymond taps a hand to his chest. I wore this jacket through 2 tours in the desert. I watched men I loved die in places no map wants to remember. I came back. And what I asked for wasn't much. His voice doesn't rise, doesn't shake, but it lands heavy, like a stone placed on every table. I didn't ask for praise. I asked for a seat. Didn't demand a parade, just a plate. He lets that sit for a moment, and still, I had to prove I belonged. Raymond steps forward, shoulders loose, voice steady. There are thousands like me. You won't see them in headlines. You won't know their names. Some are homeless. Some are working jobs with bad knees and broken backs. Some just stop talking because being ignored wears a man down. He lifts a hand. But hear this. Being poor isn't a crime. Being tired isn't a weakness. And asking to be treated like a human shouldn't come with suspicion. Jenna wipes at her eye, pretending it's just dust. Frank is frozen by the counter, arms crossed, jaw tight. Raymond smiles gently. We all carry stories no one else can see. So maybe next time someone walks into your space and they don't look the part, ask yourself, what part are you judging them by? He nods once, and finally he sits. No one claps, no one needs to. Because sometimes the truth is loudest when it's quiet. The rest of the morning unfolds slowly. A man leaves cash folded under his plate. A woman drops off a note, handwritten in tight cursive. Frank pours Raymond another coffee without asking. By mid-afternoon, Raymond walks back to the shelter. For the last time. He packs his things. The apartment key from the VA feels strange in his hand, too new, too heavy, like it belongs to someone else. He pockets it anyway. Later that week, the noise begins to fade. A new scandal, a new outrage. Social media moves on, just like always. But Raymond Cole doesn't. He finds a place not far from the diner. Quiet street, small kitchen. Walls he doesn't have to leave by sunrise. People knock on his door now, not to question, but to say hello. He volunteers twice a week at the neighborhood school. Talks to students about service, about silence, about the weight of being overlooked. They don't introduce him as the man from the video. They just say, "This is Mr. Cole. You'll want to hear what he has to say." And the kids? They listen. Because Raymond Cole, the man who just wanted breakfast, who didn't raise his voice, who didn't need to prove anything. Now people see him. Finally. Fall fades into winter, but the conversation Raymond Cole sparked hasn't gone quiet. It's gone deeper. City council meetings start bringing up housing for veterans. A county commissioner proposes a program to review all police complaints from the last 10 years. And at least one local station begins hosting a weekly spotlight on underrepresented voices. They call it Second Booth, a not-so-subtle nod to Raymond's regular seat at Henry's. Still, Raymond avoids the attention. He doesn't give interviews, turns down every podcast, doesn't respond to DMs, emails, or calls unless they're from someone he knows. Because all he ever wanted was dignity, not a microphone. One afternoon, he stops by the VA office to fill out some paperwork. A young woman at the desk lights up when she sees his name. "You're the reason I applied here," she says. "I saw the video. My dad's a vet. Nobody ever stood up for him like that." Raymond doesn't know what to say, so he just nods, signs the paper, and walks out into the cold. That night, at his apartment, he sits at the small kitchen table staring at the envelope from the nonprofit, the one offering a fully paid house, somewhere in the suburbs. He's had it for weeks, still hasn't opened it, because a part of him still doesn't feel ready to settle, like he hasn't earned it, like it could all be yanked away the moment he lets himself get comfortable. He folds it up again and puts it in the drawer. Outside, wind pushes against the glass. A neighbor's dog barks twice and quiets down. Raymond makes a cup of tea, sits by the window, watches the night. No noise, no drama, just stillness. But the world hasn't forgotten him. In fact, it's watching more closely than ever. A nationally televised town hall brings up his name twice. Once by a young congressman advocating for police reform. Once by a senator pushing for federal housing guarantees for homeless veterans. Both say his name with weight, with intention, like he's a symbol now. But Raymond Cole doesn't want to be a symbol. Symbols get polished, twisted, sold. People forget the flesh and blood man behind them. At Henry's diner, things settle back into routine, sort of. Frank Delaney grumbles more, but smiles a little easier. Jenna Miles jokes louder, checks the news less. And Raymond's booth, still his. Though now, when someone new sits there and Raymond walks in, they move, without being asked. Not because they're scared, because they know who earned that seat. One quiet Monday, Jenna slides into the booth across from him during her break. "You ever gonna tell me what you said on that call?" she asks, half smiling. Raymond stirs his coffee. Just 5 words. "What were they?" He pauses, looks out the window. "It's happening again," he says. She nods. Doesn't ask more, because she gets it. Later that week, an envelope arrives in the mail. No return address. Inside is a folded photo one Raymond hasn't seen in years. Fallujah, 2006. The original, not the digital copy that's been circling the internet. In the picture, Raymond stands in front of a crumbling brick wall, flanked by 2 men in dusty fatigues. One has his arms slung over Raymond's shoulder. Both are grinning. On the back, someone scribbled, "Still standing because of you." No signature, no explanation, just that. Raymond sets it on his fridge with a magnet. Doesn't say a word about it to anyone. That Sunday, the diner fills early. After church crowd, families with kids, regulars in their usual places. A boy about 10 years old walks up to Raymond's table holding a folded napkin. "Are you the man from the video?" the boy asks. Raymond gives a soft smile. "I'm just a guy eating breakfast." The boy places the napkin on the table and runs back to his mom. Raymond unfolds it slowly. Crayon handwriting, shaky but clear. "Thank you for being brave." Under it, a drawing stick figure in a jacket, next to a police car, with a big speech bubble that says, "I belong." Raymond stares at it, doesn't blink, doesn't speak, just folds the napkin carefully and slips it into his jacket. Because that more than headlines, more than hashtags, more than national news feels real. That's the part you hold on to. The days grow shorter. Leaves disappear. The news cycle, as expected, moves on. New scandals surface. New faces trend. And just like that, the internet forgets. But not everyone. In Mon, Georgia, Raymond Cole becomes something else: quiet legend, living reminder, a name people drop not to brag but to reflect. Not to say, "Look what he did," but rather, "Look what we almost missed." It's late December when the city finally follows through. The police department issues a formal apology, not the soft kind filled with lawyered language. This one has names, actions, and consequences. A new policy is announced. Officers must complete bias training quarterly. All prior complaints are reopened and reassessed. It's not everything, but it's something. Officer Don Keller's resignation is made public. No pension. Officer Brent Maddox fights it, tries to sue for wrongful suspension. He loses. He's off the force within a month. No one cheers, no one gloats. Because justice, when it finally comes, isn't loud. It's quiet, tired, measured, kind of like Raymond. At his apartment, things are peaceful, or at least quieter than they've ever been. He's bought a second mug, keeps it in the cupboard next to his own, just in case. Not for anyone in particular, just hope maybe. He volunteers more now. The school down the street, the shelter where he used to sleep, the community garden someone started behind the laundromat. Wherever people need steady hands and someone who listens more than he talks. He still wears the jacket, still walks to Henry's every Tuesday, still sits in that same booth. But something's shifted, not in Raymond, but around him. People see him now, not the man on the news, not the symbol, just the person. One morning, Jenna Miles walks up with a new order pad in hand. "You know," she says, pouring his coffee, "I used to think you were invisible." Raymond doesn't look up, I was. Not anymore, she replies, then adds, and it's not just you. He raises an eyebrow. There's this guy, comes in every other Thursday, lost his job last year, never said more than 2 words. Yesterday he told me about his daughter's science project. She leans in, smiles soft. People are talking more, listening harder, looking closer. All 'cause of you. Raymond shakes his head. All I did was sit down. That's the thing, she says. Sometimes that's the loudest thing you can do. Outside, winter sun climbs higher. Steam rises from coffee cups. Someone near the counter starts humming along with the radio, and just before Raymond can reply, a teenage girl walks in, same one who showed him the TikTok months ago. She's got a tote bag this time and something tucked under her arm. She walks right up to the booth. This is for you, she says, holding out a small paperback book. The cover is simple, a black and white image of the diner window, and the title, The Man Who Belonged. I wrote it, she says shyly. For school, got published. Thought you might like a copy. Raymond takes the book in his hands gently. You wrote about me? Not just you, she says. About people like you, who keep showing up, even when no one's looking. He nods once. Thank you. She smiles and walks out without another word. Frank Delaney comes around the corner, drying his hands. What's that? He asks. History, Raymond replies, holding the book. Guess you're famous again, Frank mutters. Raymond chuckles. Guess so. Later that evening, he walks home slowly, coat zipped to his chin. The sidewalks are quiet. Lights in windows flicker on. Somewhere in the distance, a train whistles through the cold. At home, he places the book on the shelf, next to the photo from Fallujah, next to the napkin, next to the unopened envelope with the house deed he's still not ready to touch. Then he sits in the dark, lights off, eyes resting on nothing in particular. Because what Raymond Cole knows better than any trending post or polished speech is this. Respect isn't something you earn once. It's something you have to keep claiming, softly, steadily, every single day. And sometimes, the most powerful stand a person can take is staying seated in the one place they've always belonged. What struck me most about this story wasn't just the injustice, it was the quiet strength. Raymond Cole didn't fight with fists or rage. He didn't need to. His presence, his patience, and that one phone call spoke louder than any confrontation. The lesson here? Dignity doesn't shout, it stands. In a world that often measures worth by status, wealth, or appearance, this story reminds us that real value lives in integrity. That respect should not be earned through a uniform or lost because of a jacket. It asks us, how many Raymond Coles have we ignored, dismissed, or doubted simply because we didn't look closely enough?